ready? Yep. All right, good evening. This is the July 19th, 2023 Cottage Grove City Council meeting, which I'm calling to order. The first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Will you please rise? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, will the clerk please do the roll?
Councilmember Kambata.
Present.
Councilmember Dennis.
Here.
Councilmember Thiede.
Here.
Councilmember Olson.
Here.
Mayor Bailey.
Here. Next on our agenda this evening is open forum. This is the opportunity for anybody who wants to speak on something that's not on tonight's agenda is welcome to do so. I know we did have somebody sign up for something that's under consent. So what we'll do is we'll pull that item off of consent for any comments, and we'll vote on that separately. So just let the council know once we get to consent. But if there is anybody else that maybe didn't sign up out in the entryway, is there anybody else that would like to speak on open forum? All right, I'll go ahead and close open forum, and we'll move to number 5, which is adoption of the agenda.
Motion to adopt the agenda. Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Councilmember Dennis, second by Councilmember Thiede. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is 6 is presentations, and we do have one this evening. It is the, almost that time again, Night Unite Proclamation and Event Overview, and our Community Engagement Officer, Dan Schoen, is going to walk us through this. So welcome, Dan.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor and honorable council members. I got to get this to the start point here. Look at that, we made her work. So I'm gonna move through this as well as I can, like an auctioneer maybe just a little bit tonight. I know you have a busy agenda. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to watch and be here. But yes, once again, Cottage Grove is participating in Night to Unite on Tuesday, August 1st. Obviously, the purpose of Night to Unite is to heighten crime and drug prevention awareness, generate support for and participation for our anti-crime efforts throughout the city, strengthen neighborhood spirit, police community partnerships, and quite frankly, send a message to criminals letting them know that our neighborhoods are organized and fighting back. The police department, fire department, and elected officials like yourselves, our city staff, will visit many gatherings as part of this crime prevention event. We asked our citizens to register by Tuesday, July 25th to guarantee a visit and qualify for prize drawings, one of which will be a Mall of America gift basket worth $500. We'll also participate in the Fill the Bag campaign to collect paper products for Friends in Need food shelf or food products, and then Fill the Backpack campaign, which will go to support school supplies for kids at the Friends in Need food shelf. We'll have a coloring contest once again. Our Parks and Rec department is going to be offering a summer outdoor fun pack. Those details are like s'mores, all sorts of different things, toys for the kids. You download that from our particular page with the Night to Unite page. Turn it in by Friday, August 4th to be considered for the drawing. All of our information is on the city webpage. You know, you look back at where we've come from in Night to Unite. It's all about being connected to our community, having our officers and our firefighters be engaged with everybody that's there. We can't do this alone. We need your help, obviously. That's why we come in and visit with you folks, all of our elected officials, but most importantly, the community that we serve and represent. This picture was taken in July of 1963. That was 60 years ago. You know, you have July of 2023. We've come a long way at the Cottage Grove Police Department and Public Safety and the organization as a whole. When you just take a look at this picture and think about where that was, what was going on 60 years ago. As usual, I got to give a big shout out to Charlene Raymond, who is the support staff member that really organizes all this, takes in all the information. Public safety, you know, we go out in our patrol cars. We take a lot of credit for when things go well, take a lot of heat for when things don't go well. But those folks up in our front offices really make things turn for us. So thank you. I look forward to seeing you all there who those of you who can. We understand that that's a busy time of year as well for everybody. We're up to about 50 parties that are registered. Last year we had a total of 58, so we'll probably surpass that.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for sharing that. Questions, council, at this point? Councilmember Olson?
Thank you for being here, Officer Schoen, and I know that you're too humble to mention it, but I know you've been doing a ton of work in preparing for this as well. And I just wanted to mention that it would be really fun to break our record. Now, I know that when I say things like that, Pete gets a little, clenched up because it's a lot to get various public safety folks in their vehicles to all of the parties, and, last year was a lot. But the fact of the matter is, the benefits to our community far outweigh the challenges when we get as many parties put together as possible. We talked about this event last night at our Cottage Grove Lions meeting, and as you know, because we talked to you about it last week, we're going to happily donate some gift cards to be handed out for that event. We're going to have some Cottage Grove Lions can coolers that we had made special that we'll be providing for folks to hand out as they visit all the various parties. And we also really appreciate the hard work and effort that all of the people who organize these parties put forward with regard to collecting school supplies for Friends in Need Food Shelf. That is a massive need. It cannot be understated. And it's one of those things that I know the food shelf relies upon every single year, just like when we do the holiday train, they rely upon those funds to help carry them throughout the year. So don't be shy. There's a lot of need out there. If you haven't already organized a party, put one together, or find out if a friend or family member is having one and attend. And anything you donate towards school supplies or paper products for Friends in Need will definitely be put to good use. This is a really, really neat event for our community, and my hat is tipped to everybody who's pitched in to work so hard on it. Hopefully the weather will cooperate. It'll be a fun night. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? All right, so then as part of this, we do have a proclamation, and I've asked Councilmember Dennis to please read the proclamation, then we'll have a motion and a second to approve. So Councilmember Dennis.
All right, thank you, Mayor. And before I get to that, I just want to thank Community Engagement Officer Schoen for his enthusiastic testimony here tonight, and for all of the great work that our public safety team does in helping to put this thing together. So with that said, it's my honor to read the proclamation for Nightia Night, whereas the Minnesota Crime Prevention Association, along with AAA of Minnesota and Iowa, and local law enforcement agencies are sponsoring a statewide program called Nightia Night on August 1st, 2023. And whereas Nightia Night is designated to get to know one another in your neighborhood, build neighborhood involvement by bringing police and communities together, and to bring an awareness to crime prevention and local law enforcement efforts. And whereas Nightia Night supports the idea that crime prevention is an inexpensive, effective tool in strengthening police and community partnerships. And whereas Nightia Night provides opportunities to celebrate the ongoing work of law enforcement and neighborhoods in Cottage Grove by working together to fight crime and victimization and increase public safety for all citizens. And whereas the citizens of Cottage Grove play an important role in assisting the Cottage Grove Police Department through joint crime, drug, and violence prevention efforts. And now, therefore, I, Mayor Bailey, and the City of Council of Cottage Grove do hereby call upon all citizens in Cottage Grove to participate in Nightia Night on August 1st of 2023. Further, let it be resolved that the Mayor and City Council of the City of Cottage Grove, County of Washington, State of Minnesota, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, August 1st, 2023, Nightia Night in the City of Cottage Grove.
All right, thank you. And do you want to make that motion since you read it?
I would be very happy to make the motion to proclaim Nightia Night on the date of August 1st, 2023.
All right, so we have a motion by Councilmember Dennis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Olson. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Officer Schoen. All right, next on our agenda is consent. Is there anything that council wants to pull on consent? Councilmember Dennis.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll pull items H and J.
H and J. Anybody else? Okay. I will mention that item. I'm sorry, Councilmember Kambata.
I had item I.
Item I, okay. And I'll mention that item L, because somebody had signed up under open forum to discuss that item, we'll pull that for a separate discussion and vote. So item L will be pulled off consent. All right, anybody else? All right, why don't we start then with Councilmember Kambata, and you have an appointment. Well, I could have went the other way, I suppose.
We're sharing one laptop.
So I just wanted to make a couple of quick comments on Parks and Recreation and Natural Resources Commission appointment. The chair of the commission and I had an opportunity to sit down and interview with Justin Waterman. He's a bright young man, and he's got a passion for the outdoors, and he's a frequent user of our parks. And I think his perspective will be a great resource for the commission.
Fantastic, thank
And
you.
that's all I have to say about that.
Perfect. And then we'll go to Councilmember Dennis. You want to start with, is H okay to start with?
Yep.
Which is some EDA appointments.
I'd be happy to do that, Mayor. So I just want to get onto the right screen here. Okay, so just to let the community know that you and I had an opportunity here recently to interview a number of candidates who had come forward with interest in volunteering for the community. And we had 5 outstanding people that we had a chance to get to know through the interview process. And during the course of that about 3 hours, we selected 2 individuals that we would like to see join us on the EDA. The first one is Thomas Cheetah, who comes to us, has some great experience relative to working on economic development with the state. And then also Obed Jean-Baptiste to join us as well, and a gentleman who is looking to bring some of his professional acumen to the process and join and augment what we do on the EDA. So one of the things we talk about is the importance of, trying to, put together a great team of people, and to have that team be balanced with people that have different skill sets, come from different backgrounds, et cetera, so that we're all not, for example, we're not all just business owners or bankers or real estate people, but folks that have a wide array of background that they can bring and provide some great additions. So we're really happy to be able to ask for their appointments tonight with the will of the council here through a vote. And I think we'll be set now for a while to come on the EDA.
Fantastic, thank you. And it was great interviews. And then the last item for Councilmember Dennis was recognizing our donations for the second quarter.
All right, well, thank you for that. And, we had between April 1st and June 30th, we had a number of different donations that came through here on behalf of the community, and I'm going to go through those quickly. The first 4 that I'm going to identify deal with the 4th of July sponsorship that helped to provide for just an amazing fireworks display that we had. And so the companies or organizations include 3M, Renewal by Anderson, Hy-Vee, and Northwood Smokehouse. So the first 3 each donated $5,000. Northwood Smokehouse did $500, and they helped to make just a tremendous difference for us in what I thought was one of the best fireworks displays that we've had in a long time. I think it actually exceeded. We normally tried for about 25 minutes, right? So we actually went longer than that. So it was really a great display, and a lot of good comments out of the community on that. Second, we had a Strawberry Fest sponsorship from Marathon of $5,000. We also had a memorial bench, and I'm going to do my very best on this name. Ioka Edienka. I hope I did that right. In memory of Michael Ogunfalami, $2,000 for that. Dodge Nature Center also, along with 3M and the Cottage Grove Chamber of Commerce, all donated to the Food Truck Festival sponsorship. We also had, last but not least, is a baseball equipment chest for $1,657. It was donated from the Cottage Grove Athletic Association. So we had a tremendous amount of sponsorship and generosity displayed on behalf of the community. So one of the things that I always like to say, and it's kind of been my hallmark on this, is we're very appreciative to the community for all the organizations that are here, for the individuals that support. No donation is too large or too small. Every dollar makes a difference, and it goes to the intended purpose upon which people designate those funds. So we're very grateful, and on behalf of that, we ask that the council accept those donations in goodwill.
Fantastic, thank you.
Thank you.
So seeing no other items that have been pulled on consent, I will look for a motion to approve consent except for item L, which we'll do as a separate comment and
I
vote.
would move that we approve consent without item L.
Okay, so we have a motion by Councilmember Thiede. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Councilmember Kambata. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So we'll now move to well, by the way, if anybody was here for anything that was on the consent calendar except for L, which we're going to do separately, all of those items have been approved. L is specifically regarding 6761 93rd Bay shed setback variance. And this was to approve a resolution, but there is somebody in the public that wants to speak on this particular item. And so if that's the case, I would ask that who would like to come up and speak on this item? Yes. And I would just ask you to come up and just state your name and address for the record, and then please do hold your comments to 3 minutes.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, City Council members. My name is Mark Walker. I live at 6793 Bay South. I am here to discuss the facts of the shed variance at 6791 93rd Bay South. My neighbors across the street from us at 6781 93rd Bay South were cited and given a timeline in which to move their shed, which was 10 inches too close to the property line. He had to move his shed, cut his concrete slab in order to become in compliance with the city's 6-foot setback ordinance. Last summer, the adjacent neighbor of the property and the one in question tonight at 6761 93rd Bay South planned to build a shed. As a homeowner, it is very critical to make sure you do your due diligence, something they did not do. The city zoning permit clearly states that it is the homeowner's responsibility to ensure property lines and property are marked and surveyed before performing any construction work. We as a neighbor made the owners at 6761 aware of the property boundaries since we were the first to build in this cul-de-sac. At the time that we were building our shed, privacy fence, in-ground pool, we did our due diligence and obtained a survey so that we knew that we were 100% in compliance. And that cost was out of our pocket. At that time, we held our fence in 8 inches from the property line to ensure that there are no future issues and notified the owners at 6761 that we did so. We even discussed splitting the cost of the fence on that side. The owners were 100% aware of the property lines at the time of summer of 2020. When the owners were in the process of building the shed in the summer of 22, they were again notified by us that the property line boundaries and the fence were held in 8 inches. They chose to keep moving forward with this, so we addressed it with the city. The inspectors came out 3 different occasions, one before construction had, one during construction, and one after construction. No property lines were surveyed by the owners, and this was no surprise to anyone, and they are still in violation of the city ordinance. The owners at 6761 are repeat violators. If you review your records of their property, you will find numerous complaints with the city roads department due to the violations of snow removal. The owners at 6761 are repeat violation asking for forgiveness. They were aware of their actions. Life has us all making decisions, some of which are easier than others. Some are more costly than others. This is an example of an unfortunate situation, and it's a hard lesson learned. Violators need to stop getting a slap on the hand. If this variance is passed by the city, we are setting a precedence for other Cottage Grove residents to violate the city standard. To wrap this up, both neighbors were in compliance, or were not in compliance with the 6-foot setback. One had to move his shed, the other did not. One was 6 inches, the other was 10 inches. Where do you draw the line? Why do we have building codes if no one has to follow them? Is this the new standard for Cottage Grove, to ask for forgiveness after they have violated The HOA president, city inspectors, and us informed them that they made their own self-inflicted hardship, and now we have a double standard going on. If you choose to allow the owners at 6761 to keep their shed in their replacement, then the owners at 6781 should be compensated for their losses. Please, city council members, set a precedence for this great community of Cottage Grove, and thank you for your time, Mark and Christie.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anybody else that wants to speak on this item? Yes, would you like to come up? And then again, just state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, I'm Brittany Rexigal. I am one of the homeowners at 6761 93rd Bay. And I just kind of want to point something out here. When we originally went to build the shed, we didn't strictly go off of their fence as for our setback. If we did, that whole south side of the shed would not be compliant at all with the setback. Unfortunately, what we actually have is one corner that's not compliant. It was brought to our attention from our contractor, and we actually had verified for ourselves that originally when we went to build the shed, we knew at the one corner their fence was 8 inches onto their property. However, actually between the houses, we have to have a 7.5-foot setback for all of the homes in our development. Their fence was only 7 feet from our house. So at some point, their fence actually crossed over the property line. When we went to design where the forms were for the shed, we had done some calculations and had figured at that point on where that corner was, we had figured that that's where their fence had crossed over. Thus why we had done 6 feet off the property line from that, or for that corner of the shed. Afterwards, yes, it was brought to our attention after a survey was done that we are 6 inches too close on that one corner of the shed. That was not our ill intent. We had no plans to encroach on the setback. We did everything that we thought that was the right thing to do for calculating where the shed should go. When we even did the forms, when the city inspector came out, we actually had moved the forms further away to try to comply with the setbacks. So we had even tried to move where everything was before everything was built. Now with the current shed in place in a concrete slab, it makes it very difficult as for trying to move a structure that was meant to be permanent. For something that's 320 square feet, I mean, we've had estimates upwards of $15,000 to not only cut the concrete, pour a new slab, and slide the whole thing over, which is a huge expense that for any homeowner, it's hard to take on. If we have to do it, that's one thing. But we, in our right minds, thought we were doing everything that we could to try to comply with the setbacks. We don't encroach on any easements or utility lines. We have no issues with drainage. It's not like our overhang is draining into their backyard. It's draining towards the street and into our yard, which has been surrounded by gardens to hopefully help absorb all of that. So that's kind of why we're here today, just requesting the variance to hopefully get approval to keep it where it is due to the large expense, and we tried everything that we could to get it in compliance.
Okay, thank you. So council, this is kind of an interesting one. Maybe I'll ask Emily, are you able to come up just for a quick question? The 6 inches, is it from the wall of the shed or is it the overhang?
Mayor, council, from the wall of the shed.
Okay, all right. I just was curious on that as a point. So council, I will share with you, the reason this was on consent is because the planning commission approved it. But as we always do with the opportunity, if there is somebody that wants to pull something on consent, we always give them the opportunity to come forward here and share either their objections or their approvals, if you will. And so at this particular case, now we're looking for a motion one way or the other at this point on this particular item L. Yes, Councilmember Dennis.
Mayor, if I could have Emily come back up for a second. Just to make sure that I'm crystal clear and that we're all clear on this. There's a property line, then there's an easement, and then there's setback, okay? So where the structure is has not crossed the actual property line, correct? It's clearly on their side of the property.
Mayor, Council,
Okay.
that's correct.
And it's not in the easement, correct?
Correct.
So there's drainage easement, there's easement for perhaps underground infrastructure, things along those lines. So nothing there has been violated. So really what this is it's an issue relative to the desire for a setback at that measured amount. Okay. So when I think about, what we do here and what we've tried to do is deal in reasonableness. And I think in this particular case, and having been council liaison to the Planning Commission for 3.5 years plus, I learned a little bit about that process. And we have a situation, but it creates a hardship to try to move that shed because one small corner of it is 6 inches into the setback. We didn't cross into the easement. We did not cross into someone else's property. So I think it would be probably reasonable that we go along with the recommendation of the Planning Commission. And I would make the motion that we would approve this, unless Dave has something he wants to throw in there.
Do you want something before, can I wait on the motion?
Sure.
And then Councilmember Thiede. Oh, sorry.
So my question is obviously we set precedents with the other shed that came up. So I'd like to know what's appreciably the differences between the two situations where previously we established precedents by making the homeowner move for, it was 10 inches or something like that. And in this time, it's not. What are the differences that would create us making a different decision and not taking the precedents that we had last year, or whenever it was?
Sure. Mayor, Councilmember Thiede, I am not familiar with the details of that particular case, so I can't speak to the details of how we came to our determination. I would say we focus solely on the situation at this particular property.
Because I'd like to definitely know that before making a decision on this, because obviously we kind of abide, we establish precedents in a lot of these cases, okay, and.
Well, if I could, Mayor,
Wait, let's wait 1 second. So let me run over to Councilmember Kambata.
So as Planning Commission liaison, I had the opportunity to sit in on this application. And if my memory serves, when it came up in conversation, and then I have had a subsequent conversation with both parties separately, just to see if there's a resolution that could be handled outside of this application specifically, regarding property disputes, which I deal with in my private business. But I believe in the case of the shed on the opposing side of the street, it was stated that the city had asked that homeowner to move it, and the owner complied. So Emily probably doesn't know anything about it because there was no application for a variance. Which is my segue. Emily, if the city were to ask somebody to comply with an encroachment like that, a homeowner would have an opportunity to submit an application and ask for a variance. Is that accurate?
Mayor, Councilmember Kambata, that's correct. They have the right to submit their application.
So it's, in that specific instance, that homeowner opted not to pursue it any further. The circumstances around that, we don't know. But Emily, we've been working together for a long time, both in Planning Commission and on council. And, I do remember that every so often this comes up. I think sheds in easements is a pretty common thing. I think in most cases, it doesn't become an issue until somebody needs to use that easement. And at that time, the city has the authority to instruct that homeowner to move or remove that obstruction. Is that accurate?
Mayor, Council, if it's within that easement, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Let me just make sure that I understand.
Councilmember
then that we didn't, the homeowner across the street didn't request a variance and got, we didn't.
We don't know, it's not on record, because nothing was requested, as far as I
Okay,
could
so
tell.
we didn't necessarily establish precedence that way because we didn't necessarily say that they couldn't be allowed a variance. Is that correct?
Mayor, council, we didn't receive an official application for a variance for that
right.
property, to my knowledge.
What I'd like to do real quick, just since we're talking some legal stuff here, maybe I'll turn it over to our attorney, Corey Land, just to offer some insight.
Thank you, Your Honor, members of the council. As you know, each application that comes before you must stand on its own merits. So regardless of whether there was something that happened that looks similar, every single application is different, and you must apply the law to each and every specific application. So that's what I would ask that you do here.
Okay. And then Councilmember Dennis, did you want to add anything else, or?
I was just going to say the same thing had you come to me first, that and we've had our discussions on precedent here over the years, and yes, it's a guide, but every case is weighed on its own merits. And so that's why we have a process here in place where we have, commissions that will tackle an issue first and hold public hearings and go through all of that heavy lifting, and our staff team vetting and our law lawyer looking at it. Everybody goes through this stuff, and by the time it gets here, it's been vetted out to the point where it's like, okay, this is what's before you, and here's the choice to be made. So I think in supporting that lengthy process of all the different eyes that have looked at this and the hands that have touched it, I would make the motion to approve the variance as stated, as the Planning Commission had outlined.
Okay. So
One more point of
I
information.
do have a motion on the floor now, so I have to.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Olson, further discussion.
So I just want to
Councilmember
make
Thiede.
note that the planning commission, it did go through the planning commission, and it did get approved, but it was not unanimous, it was 4-2. So there was 4 and 2 against.
There was one against and one that didn't know.
It tells me right
how to
here,
vote.
the commission on a 4-2 vote recommended approval of the request.
Yeah, so, and I do have a question on that too, because up here over all the years, when we voted on things, generally speaking, according to Robert's rules, if all in favor say aye, okay? Any opposed? If you're opposed to it, you have to stipulate that. If you don't, that's considered a yes vote. So it should have been 5-1. I don't know how it got called 4-2. A non-verbal is a yes vote.
And unfortunately, I kind of, believe it or not, I came into that meeting, but I can't remember. I'll just say it, not that it matters specifically to this case, but one of them may have abstained. And that might be
Yeah,
why.
she did not.
Did state it?
She didn't feel comfortable enough to say one way or the other. And if you're not voting for something, but you're not stipulating against it, then it's a correct?
It's a plus.
Yes, yeah, 5-1.
Okay. Does it answer your question, though?
I guess so.
Okay.
Super majority.
All right. So I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. That covers everything on consent. So we'll move now to 8, which is approved disbursement. 8A is to pay the bills.
Motion to pay the bills.
We have a motion by Councilmember Dennis.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Olson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is 9 is public hearings. We do have 2 this evening. The first public hearing is in regards to the Rural Service District, and our Finance Director, Brenda Melanowski, is going to take us through this. So welcome, Brenda.
Mayor, members of the City Council, tonight I just have a short presentation regarding the Rural Service District here for the City of Cottage Grove. And before I start, I just wanted to give my thanks to city staff. This really was a collaborative effort between community development, engineering, and administration to look through parcels in the Rural Service District to see if they met the requirements to be through them, or to be included, continue to be included in that district. Per our city code 1-5-2, our area for taxing purposes are divided into 2 districts. The first is our urban service district, And that simply is properties not included in the rural service district. And then our rural service district, per our city code and state statute, it must be rural in character, not developed for commercial, industrial, or urban purposes, urban residential purposes. And because of those first two, it's been determined that they are not benefited to the same degree as other lands in the city for general taxation. And so what that means is that we have a taxing ratio. And in the rural service district, those properties are taxed at 70% of the urban rate. In addition, any bonds, judgments, or interest, or bond payments, those are spread against all properties, whether they're in the urban or rural district. To remove a property from the rural service district, it happens by ordinance or resolution, so that's why we're here tonight. It can also occur naturally, and so throughout, through the past, as a property has developed, so if there's been a subdivision application and it's been a property in the rural service district, and it's come out as part of that subdivision application, it just naturally goes into our urban taxing district. Sometimes, though, there's two instances where it doesn't happen. The first is if there is a lot split in the rural taxing district for a single-family residential home that is not naturally falling out of that rural service district and going into the urban. And then there's another instance where we have some agricultural property that has developed into solar property. And at that point, those did not naturally come out of the rural service district into the urban. So both of those instances, they no longer qualify. And in order to get them out, we need to do the public hearing tonight, adopt the ordinance and the resolution. Here's a map of our rural service district back in 2002 when we last looked at it. In yellow is the properties that qualified at that time. As you can see, there's already single-family residential within that district that did not qualify at that time. So those at that point were brought out of the rural service district and put into the urban. So we're doing the same thing tonight with 5 other properties that have developed since that time. In addition, 13-027-21-43-0002, as city staff looked at the parcels in the rural service district, determined that that one actually should go into the rural service district. So we're correcting that at this time. In yellow on your map are the 5 properties that have developed since 2002 that no longer qualify, that we're bringing out of the rural service district and putting into urban. And then in green are the 4 solar properties that no longer qualify because they're commercial in nature and they have a commercial taxing designation. If the ordinance and the resolution is approved tonight, this is what our rural service district will look like for 2023. And a rural service district, when we think about it, it's 70% of the tax rate because they don't need city services such as snow plowing, streets, maintenance, those types of services. So they don't need as many taxes on them to generate the municipal services. With that, I'll take any questions or the recommendations are on the screen.
All right, thank you, Brenda. Yes, Councilmember Thiede.
So I noticed that, and do we look at this? How often do we look at this?
We look at it periodically. The last time we looked at it was 2002, which seems like a long time ago, but so many of the properties have fallen off naturally when a property is subdivided. So there's very little cleanup that we're doing this evening, but the last time that we really took a thorough look at it was 2002.
Okay, if you go back to the one you were just right across from the county service center there and on Keats and 90th, the fact that that piece of property there right around the church is currently being developed, and it will then need services. I was just curious how, if that was intentionally left out, or we can't include that into the,
Well, here it's shown in yellow, so this is from 2002.
oh,
And then here,
I'm sorry.
one of the parcels, I believe, looking at the map, is still included in there, but I do know that we just got a phone call from the county asking what service district that should be in. And so as that develops, it falls off. It goes into urban.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Council, any other questions at this point? All right, this is a public hearing, so I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Is there anybody that would like to speak on this particular item? Anybody at all? All right, I will go ahead and close the public hearing, and council, we have two motions, I believe, before us. Who would like to take the first?
I would, let's see, so that's 2 and 3 on here.
Yes.
I would move that we adopt Resolution 2023-88, repealing and replacing Resolution 00-99 regarding the parcels included in the Rural Service District.
All right, so I have a motion by Councilmember Thiede. Do I have a second? Second by Councilmember Kambata. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Who would like number 3?
Mayor, I'll move to adopt Ordinance 1067, amending City Code 1-5-2, taxing district, transferring certain parcels from the Rural Service District to the Urban Service District.
All right, so we have a motion by Councilmember Olson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Dennis. Again, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Brenda. All right, so now we'll move to B, which is also a public hearing, which is Graymont Village easement vacation, final plat, development agreement, and development plans. And our Community Development Director, Emily Schmitz, is going to walk, oh, no, it's actually going to be, did I get that wrong? Oh, it's on here wrong. Mike Morosa is going to be taking us through this.
Good
I
evening,
did.
Mayor Council. You can call me where you want.
I'm coming around.
All right. Graymont Village is here before you tonight. Leonard is proposing easemification and final plat, development agreement, and development plans. So a little background on the project. It is located south of 105th Street and to north of 110th. Haven't been down there lately. 105th is pretty much in. It's kind of interesting to see kind of the transition down there. But first thing up first is the easement vacation. As part of the North Point development, the Jolene parcel, which is highlighted on the screen here, was subdivided to provide right-of-way to the North Point development and the creation of 105th Street. North Point needed 2 access points, so 105th Street was created as part of that. In addition, the Julian Acres was subdivided into 2 additional parcels, one adjacent to Ideal Avenue, which is the existing farmstead and homestead. And the other one was a tilled field, which is part of the Graymont Village subdivision. As part of any kind of subdivision in the community, we do a 10-foot utility and drainage easement around the perimeter. As part of the, prior to final platting the Graymont Village, they need to vacate that 10-foot easement. A little information about the final plat that's also in front of you tonight. The Lennar has submitted an application for final plat. They're proposing to plat 60 lots. The preliminary plat showed 207 lots. The first phase is 60, as I previously mentioned. The lots range from 45 foot to 60 foot in width. And there's also 4 outlots associated with this. 3 of them are stormwater ponds and 1 is a future phases of the development. Right now, they are grading down there and anticipating a model being up for the spring parade. And that completes my presentation. This does require a public hearing, as the mayor mentioned, and there is quite a few resolutions.
I see that. Council, any questions for Mike at this point? I know we've seen this before, so it's kind of the final step, but with that being said, then I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Is there anybody that wants to speak on this item? All right, seeing none, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. And who would like to start with number 2?
I'll go.
Okay.
I move to adopt Resolution 2023-093, approving the easement vacations.
All right, so we have a motion by Councilmember Kambata. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Dennis. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Who would like number 3?
I'll make number 3, Mayor. I adopt, a motion to adopt Resolution 2023-094, approving the final plat for Graymont Village.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Dennis. Who's second by Councilmember Olson. Again, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 4?
I'll move to approve the Graymont Village Development Agreement with U.S. Homes LLC.
We have a motion by Councilmember Thiede. Do I have a second?
I'll second that as well.
Seconded by Councilmember Olson. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Gotcha, down there. Motion carries. Just got you a little late there, Mr.
I
Kabata.
was half a second behind, sorry about that.
No, you're good. And then finally, number 5.
Give me a moment. Mayor, I'll move that we adopt Resolution 2023-095, approving the Graymont Village Development Plans dated May 23rd, 2023, prepared by WSB Inc., subject to final approval by the city engineer in writing.
All right, so I have a motion by Councilmember Olson. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Councilmember Kambata. The last one, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. There we go. All right, now we'll move to number 10, which is bid awards. We do have one this evening, which is the Grange Trunk Water Main Project bid award. And our Public Works Director, Ryan Burfine, is going to walk us through this one. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. So on July 9th, we did take bids for the Grange Trunk Water Main Project. And just for a little background really quick so you know where this is, it's around Hamlet Park. So we need to build a large water main from what's going to be a future water tower site up to the area of 80th Street and Grange by the Grange Water Tower. The reason for that is well 2 and well 1 are going to be decommissioned as part of our 3M settlement process. And once we do that, if we didn't build this bigger water main, that water tower would actually ride quite a bit lower, just the way the small pipes work in that area. So that area would have a lot lower water pressure than they have today, which really isn't an acceptable thing to have. So with that, the 3M settlement is fully funding this trunk water main to connect the 2 parts of that low pressure zone so they have adequate water pressure and service to that Grange water tower. We did get 5 bids on that bid day, and we got favorable bid results compared to our engineer's estimate. Ryan Contracting Company was the apparent low bidder. They are one that's done quite a bit of work in this town, doing the Hadley Avenue and 95th Street project, the signal at 95th and Jamaica Avenue, and they also did the water main improvements down in River Acres when we did that water main extension. So quite a good work history with Ryan Contracting Company. And with that, I'm available for questions, otherwise the recommendations on the screen.
Questions, council? All right, seeing none, I'll look for a motion, council.
I'll motion to adopt Resolution 2023-099, awarding the Grange Trunk Water Main Project to Ryan Contracting Company in the amount of $2,036,796.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Kambata. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Olson. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
All right, now we're moving to the regular agenda, which we have 3 items. We'll start with A, which is the Trellis Senior Housing Plan Unit Development and Site Plan Review. And Mike Moroso is on this one. I'm glad I'm looking up now.
All right. All right, Trelsco has submitted an application for site plan review and a plan unit development. The subject of the site is located at 7601 79th Street South. Site is currently vacant. It was platted back in 1979 and has had numerous proposals on it, but nothing has come to fruition. The proposal in front of us tonight is a 52 unit of senior affordable housing. The applicant is proposing 4 stories. The product is 2 different types. One's a studio and one is a 1-bedroom apartment with various different floor types for the 1 bedroom. The unique part is this is a deeply affordable project. The applicant's proposing 36 units at 30% the area median income or area average income. which is, to put in perspective, for an individual person for Washington County, it's $87,000 is the average. For a 30%, at 30%, that is $26,000 and $26,100, and at 60% is $52,200. So the applicant is proposing 16 units at 60% as well. This is age restricted at 62 plus. Then the rents would be fixed then for a 30% AMI would be at $652, and then at 60% it'd be at $1,305 for a studio, and then $699 for a one bedroom, and $1,398 for at 60% for a one bedroom as well. Some site amenities on site, there is a community room, craft room. There will be on-site service manager for the residents, trash storage inside the building as well. And we'll get into some more details here in a second. First, we'll go through the land use and density. The subject site is approximately 0.9 acres. It is zoned and guided mixed use, which has a maximum density of 40 units per acre. However, the site is just under an acre in size, so the permitted density is 36 units. As I previously mentioned, the applicant is requesting 52 units. However, for affordable housing projects that meet specific goals within the comprehensive plan, there are some tools that we can use to increase the density of the site. One of those tools is a density bonus. A density bonus is a tool that is used to increase density by a specific percentage depending on the amount of affordable housing provided. Again, this is a deeply affordable project. 69% of the units are set aside for 30% AMI. So that allows us to provide them with the full 20% increase or 7 units, depending on the site size and the units required. The next tool that we have is called a density transfer. A density transfer allows for the allocation of housing units on part of the site to another part, resulting in an increase in density to the transfer area for the purpose of reserving open space. In this case here, the subject site and outlot A are all part of the original plat that was approved back in 1979. Outlot A is an existing stormwater pond, so what we are proposing to do is take the density that's on outlot A right now and transfer 9 units of that to the subject site, which gives us a total of 52 units, which the applicant is requesting. Some planning considerations. The proposed building meets all height and setback requirements. The proposed building is 47 feet tall, 50 is the max. The maximum impervious surface is 70 for the district. The applicant's just underneath there at 69.9%. Then parking code requires 78 stalls at 1.5 stalls per unit for senior living facilities. The applicant is proposing 43, which is a reduction. However, the applicant does own and manage several other affordable senior properties throughout the metropolitan area. As you can see in the table here, there's a couple listed. The applicant has found that lower parking utilization compared to general occupancy housing it owns and operates. So they've generally seen these lower parking counts work as most of the residents utilize public transportations or do not own a car, unlike your independent living facilities, which the ordinance is geared towards. Also, this project will benefit for having the opportunity to have some on-street parking. Just in case there is some additional visits on holidays or some other events held at the facility. One other thing to note here, the applicant is requesting some setback flexibility from the parking lot. They're requesting a 12-foot setback from the right-of-way, from the property line, on the north side of the parcel. This is not uncommon. We have other projects throughout the community that have encroached into that setback. For example, Grove 80 across the street is 8 feet setback from the right-of-way. So this is not uncommon. This has been done in other places, but it is a flexibility requirement. Overall, though, the proposed project meets the landscaping and all our zoning code requirements. A couple of things on the plan to point out here. They are proposing to add a new sidewalk along Hemingway Avenue. They're also enlarging, there's a bus stop right there on the corner. They're going to enlarge the area around there for pedestrians, a little additional sidewalk area there for people waiting for public transportation. Another unique part about this proposed project is it's in a unique area. It's surrounded by residential, commercial, and the residential product is multifamily and townhomes. So the applicant used those architectural styles to design the building. And so the architectural ordinance requires 65% Class 1 materials versus stone, glass, and brick. However, once they put all those components of the other designs in the area together, their materials are a little lower than that. They're proposing 46% Class 1 materials of stone and glass, and then 54% of the building will be fiber cement siding. However, that is very similar to what you find at the Grove 80 site. They actually have a little bit more Class 1 materials than the Grove 80 site. But it does fit the overall surrounding neighborhoods, surrounding area with the architectural structure of the proposed architecture of the building, I should say, excuse me. And that completes my presentation. The applicant is here for any questions, and as well as myself.
So I'll first see, council, any questions for Mike at this point? Mike, I have one question, and it's not maybe necessarily related to this, but next to it. The sidewalk, which they're going to be putting in, goes up towards 80th Street. I don't believe that there's a sidewalk in on the property next to them, which is going to eventually be Dunkin' Donuts, Baskin Robbins. Is our intent with them to put the sidewalk in there, to complete it to 80th Street?
Mayor and council, I am unaware of that.
Can we look at that as, not specific to these guys, because it's not their property, but what I don't want to see is us running into there is a sidewalk and then it stops and there's no sidewalk, and people are still gonna walk through to get to to 80th Street. So something that we're gonna want to look at.
Yes, Mayor and council, we don't want a trail to nowhere.
Yes, exactly. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Councilmember Kamada.
Great presentation, Mike. I appreciate your hard work. I have one question regarding the parking variance. I know every time we see a parking variance, we all get heartburn. But in this case, in the event that they need overflow parking, is there parking available on the adjacent streets to accommodate?
Mayor and council, yes. The streets are currently not signed, no parking, so there's an opportunity to park on the street in those overflow events.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Olson?
Thank you. First of all, thank you to my colleague, Councilmember Kambata, for that question, because that was one of the questions that I had as well. You mentioned bus route. So when you mention bus route, some people think the big, Metro Transit buses, but we also have the commuter buses that we use in the city of Cottage Grove for transportation once or twice a week so that people can get to doctor's appointments, et cetera. Could you specify which you're referring to, please?
Yes, Mayor and council, the applicant will be having local bus services by DARTs or Metro Mobility will be servicing the site. They're actually looking at dedicating a stall within the parking lot for that. Then I'm unaware of what the bus route outside the facility is that services that corner. I know there's a bus stop there for children in the morning. But to my knowledge, I'm unaware of what.
You answered the question exactly
Oh.
how I expected you
Okay.
would, which is Metro Mobility, DART, et cetera. And that does somewhat tie into the conversation about parking, because as we have seen, there are several people who live in senior housing who just don't drive. They don't have that transportation. So that accessibility to a bus that will take them wherever they need to go, I think is a big win for the site. So thank you for that.
And I do believe, if I just interject, our DART, the bus circulator that we have in the city that we're doing, actually goes to the library, so it would be right there, correct? So that's gonna be perfect. So they'll have options to get to restaurants and grocers and such. Okay. Yes, Councilmember Dennis.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick comment, and I'm going to talk loud because it's hailing on the building right now. I think this is a great project, and one of the things the council has dedicated itself to in working with our staff team is to try to bring different types of housing here to the community, and especially what's happened in the last year or so with other senior housing where prices have escalated. This is a really good thing to see, and we're very appreciative of that. So thank you for being willing to take that risk to come here. And I think you'll find it's a great place to do business and very rewarding with the people that you'll be able to help.
All right. Did the applicant, would you like to come up and speak at all, or are you?
Mayor Bailey and council members, thank you for those comments. And Mike made a great presentation. I'll just add a couple things. One is that 36 of the units will also have project-based rent assistance attached to them, so that even for an extremely low-income senior just surviving on Social Security, they will never be stressed to pay their rent. So we're really happy about that. And then we worked really hard on the mix of materials and landed on a palette that we think really does hold together really well. And the final thing I'll add is that the Planning Commission also had a really good question, I thought, which was snow removal. And given the winter we all just had, they wanted to know how we would handle where we would store snow on site. And the answer was there is an area along the southern portion of the site and along the side, but Trellis, there's two other points. Trellis also trucks snow off site. We regularly do that in extraordinary events. And then actually this last year, we started our own internal snow plowing business. So we have a fleet of our own trucks that come and take snow away. So we have even more control over that important thing. So I'll leave it there and thank you all and the staff for all of the feedback that we've had, and we are really proud of the project and hope you approve it. Thank you.
Fantastic, and I just would mention, I'm going to piggyback on my partner over here, Councilmember Dennis. You know, we've over the last couple of years, and I know all of us up here have heard from a lot of our senior folks and some of the other facilities about how difficult it was with the rent increases, and you know, what are they going to do if they can't live there anymore, depending on, you know, what happens. This will be another option, whether it's for existing seniors in Cottage Grove or others that are looking for a deeply affordable option that's in a beautiful building. I've seen some of the other pictures of the other places that you have built around the Twin Cities and outstate, and very impressed. So I just thought I'd add that in there, so thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and we will be coming before you next month as well for some of the financing requests, and we will speak more to the issue about the rent increases. We've been talking with our attorneys, and I think we have a really good proposal to offer that will meet a lot of what you're looking for.
Councilmember Kamada, did you have a question?
I just wanted to add that it's my opinion that this is a very meaningful project for Cottage Grove. There are people who are going to be well served by this, and it's going to help keep people in our community who are part of our community and have been for a very long time.
Yep, I agree. All right. If there's no other comments by the council at this point, thank you. We'll look for a motion which is above you, or before you, I should say, excuse me.
I would move that we adopt Resolution 2023-090, approving the planned unit development and site plan review for a 52-unit, 4-story affordable senior multifamily apartment building located at 7601 79th Street South.
All right, so we have a motion, by Councilmember Thede. Do I have a second? Second by Councilmember Dennis. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
You got her. Next on our agenda is Hohenstein's Distribution, 95th and Jamaica Site Plan Review. And now this one is the opposite person again. So now Emily, Community Development Director Emily Schmitz, is going to take us through this one. You guys are trying to throw me for a loop on what you wrote down up here, so.
Right, Mayor, Council, good evening. I'm going to give my counterpart Mike a break here and take this next application by Hohenstein Distribution. This particular site may look familiar to you at the corner of 95th and Jamaica Avenue. Over the last handful of years, some work has been done out there. A quick background, we did work through a platting process in 2021, which expanded the pond, a fancy name, TGP 14. Expanded that pond. I won't get into the details, but it helped support some additional stormwater in the area, as well as helped create a more developable site next door to it. So that work was completed in 2022. For those of you who are unaware, Hohenstein Distribution has been locally operated, I believe, for 70 years in the area. These folks pride themselves on being a wholesale distributor of domestic, imported, as well as craft beer, and I'm certain there's probably some other goodies in there as well. They are looking to expand and move their business to Cottage Grove. So they've worked awfully hard to design this site in a way that works most efficiently for them. The building is proposed just around 140,000 square feet. 3 access points proposed, and this is helpful for them as they have the flow of the trucks through their site, entering in this access and having actually a complete drive-through in the center of their building. So the loading dock's on the backside, but those trucks are able to enter the building, get loaded up, and then head right back out. And this is an exit only from their site. The applicant is also proposing to be able to store those trucks on the interior of the building as well, so less trucks stored on the exterior. As I indicated at the beginning, this developer has worked very hard to ensure that they are meeting the minimum standards of our zoning code here in the city, which they have done. Setbacks, parking areas, et cetera. They've also set themselves up for some potential future expansion on this particular site. They do have a good chunk of space on the east side of the site. We'll certainly bring that back to you at such time they are looking to expand. Of course, we hope sooner than later. I'll touch briefly on the landscaping because I believe that is, of course, a very important part of a project. This particular applicant has worked very hard to be sure that they are planting the minimum amount of landscaping that is required per our code. I wanted to make note that they are calculating the landscaping based off of the area of the site that they are currently developing here with this project, and then we will calculate that landscaping as part of a future phase on the area of that future phase. So I just wanted to make note of that as you see the landscaping going in, hopefully later this year, maybe next spring, but it'll be concentrated towards the west side of the site. And I will make a note of the mitigation as we prepared this site to be more development ready. We did do some tree removal and knew that that would fall on a potential future developer of the site. And finally, I'll point out the architecture. This applicant has, again, worked very hard to ensure, knowing that they are prominent visual at the entrance to our business park at 95th and Jamaica. So they worked very hard to ensure that corner of their building is the focus of multiple different materials, specifically glazing and kind of popping out of the building facade there, as well as breaking up those long stretches of walls, focusing again on materials that are required per our code. With that, I will leave the recommendation before you. The applicant is also available to answer any questions you have.
Fantastic. We'll first start. Any council, any comments? Yes, Councilmember Dennis.
Thank you, Mayor. This is very exciting to have Mr. Carl Hohenstein and his son here tonight. Emily is right. This is a fantastic business, local, family-owned. They do some cores distribution, not in this immediate area, just south of here, but they have the preeminent craft beer book, in my opinion, in the state of Minnesota. So it's really an honor to have them here. They do care. This is a well-run company, very respectful, and they'll be a great addition to our business park. So I'm very happy to see them come.
Okay, sounds good. Councilmember Olson.
First of all, Carl and Sam, thanks for coming tonight. It's great to have you here. And as I said earlier, it's a very, very exciting time for the city of Cottage Grove. I want to reiterate what my colleague, Councilmember Dennis, said. your company has been so well-respected for so long, and the fact that you are making a decision to invest in our community speaks volumes, at least to me, about our community, and I think it will be a very fruitful partnership for a very long time. This project looks beautiful. I have no doubt that when it's all said and done, it will be beautiful. And having the Hohenstein name in our business park, I think, is only going to elevate Cottage Grove in the eyes of other potential investors. So I just wanted to thank you both for making sure that, you were here this evening to, be part of this conversation and get this deal over the finish line. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, yeah, Councilmember Kamada.
I'd like to thank staff for their time and making sure that this project is well put together. I was particularly fond of the area that was designated for future expansion, which only goes to show that as they grow, they want to continue to be here in Cottage Grove. And I think, as Carl may have said at the Planning Commission meeting, he never wants to move again. So I look forward to having them in town.
Fantastic. All right. Yeah, I mean, we're reaping praise on you here. Did you have anything you'd like to add at all, or? Okay. All right, sounds good. So with that, council,
Mayor, I'll move that we adopt Resolution 2023-091, approving the site plan review of an approximate 160,000 square foot industrial building for warehouse, distribution, and office space for Hohenstein Distribution.
all right. So we have a motion by Councilmember Olson, second by Councilmember Thiede. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carries. So now I'm going to say welcome to Cottage Grove.
Great to
We're
have
glad
you
to have
here.
you on
Can't
our
wait for the
part of
ribbon
our
cutting.
team. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any sampling?
Oh, geez.
Didn't take long for that to
No, I was
start.
waiting for that. All right, thank you. All right, and our last item on regular agenda this evening is Chase Bank, which is a conditional use permit and site plan review. And Mike Moroso is going to take us through this one.
All right, this is the last one, I swear.
There you go.
All right. All right, Chase Bank, or JP Morgan Chase Bank has submitted an application for site plan review and a conditional use permit. The proposed location is in the Coles parking lot, to the east of Culver's and to the west of the existing US Bank and to the north of 80th Street. The applicant is proposing to lease 1.03 acres from Coles, and then the applicant would construct and own a 3,319 square foot building with a drive-through ATM. A little more information on that. The applicant will be responsible for maintaining the 1.03 acres. We are requiring a maintenance agreement to ensure that in the event that Chase doesn't maintain the site, which they said they're going to be, Coles will be responsible for that. Additionally, access will be provided to the site via an internal driveway that serves the center right now off of Hardwood Avenue. Hours of operation, your typical bank hours, 9 to 6 p.m. And then on Saturdays, 9 to 2 p.m. We did take a look at a little bit of the trip generation of this use. With all the development in the area, we want to ensure that this won't impact any traffic. The internal teller transactions are about 20 to 30 trips per day. And then ATMs average about 25 trips per day, so they average about 55 total trips per day. Low impact use. The subject property is zoned mixed use. Banks are permitted use within this district. A conditional use permit is required for drive-through uses. The applicant is proposing a 6-vehicle stacking drive-through for the ATM. There is no teller at the window. It's solely an ATM, which is highlighted as orange on the screen. The trash enclosure is located just to the north there, circled in red. Also, as part of this project, the applicant will be doing a sidewalk connection to the existing trail along 80th Street. The parking code does require 13 stalls or 1 per 250 square feet. However, the site is significantly overparked with 52 stalls. We are requiring a cross parking agreement as the additional parking on site can be utilized by the surrounding tenants as well. There is currently one out there with Culver's and Coles as well. The proposed building meets all zoning standards. The applicant is going to be installing additional landscaping in the area. and removing some of the existing landscaping that needs a little help in some of those islands there, and improving it some other areas as well as part of the landscaping plan. Architecture of the building, commercial buildings require 65% Class 1 materials, which is brick, stone, and glass. The applicant is proposing an 89.2% Class 1 material building. The building is very similar. This is a new product type. You can see it in West St. Paul and Woodbury. This significantly is above the ordinance requirement. There's two types of brick on here, stone and glass, and then some accent metal around the ATM and around the one corner. Otherwise, the rest of the building is Class 1 materials. That completes my presentation. Applicant is not present, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right. Sounds good. It's fairly simple, but any questions, Council? All right, pretty straightforward. All right, so at this point then, I guess I'll look for a motion by the council, which is before us.
I'll motion to adopt Resolution 2023-092, approving a conditional use permit and site plan review for a 3,319 square foot Chase Bank building with a drive-through lane for an in-wall automatic teller machine to be located in the south parking lot of Kohl's, north of 80th Street, east of Culver's, and west of US Bank.
All right, a lot of words on that one. All right, so we have a motion by Councilmember Kambata. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Olson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moving right along, which is in a good pace. All right, that is it for the main agenda items. So we're down to 12, which is council comments requests. I'll start with Councilmember Kambata.
I think I've said all I need to say tonight.
All right, there you go. All right, Councilmember Dennis.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have one thing to say, and, you try to focus up and make the most of your council comments here. So I did want to wish a happy golden birthday to Rosie Olson. And I know that today's a big day for her, and that there was an opportunity for some friends to send a text. I thought, well, maybe a council comment would be a little better than a text. So if she's watching, and if not, she can certainly check into the replay, or Dad can simply mention that his council colleague wished her a very happy birthday.
Thank you very much. She'll love that. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Fantastic. Councilmember Thiede? Nope. Councilmember Olson?
Mayor, I have two things. First of all, I was hopeful that our Community Engagement Officer, Dan Schoen, might step back up to the podium momentarily. We have the Public Safety Board's annual Public Safety Golf Tournament coming up on the 29th of this month at River Oaks. And our check-in for that tournament is at noon. I know, Mayor, you and I are playing in the tournament with Commissioner Bigham. And, this is really a huge fundraiser for the Public Safety Board. And I was hoping that maybe Community Engagement Officer Schoen could tell us a little bit more about, the particulars of the tournament, the purpose, et cetera. And I'm pretty sure people can still sign up, right?
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilmember Olson. I usually get a little nervous if I stick around for too long and wait for your questions, and I think everybody else does too. You never know for sure what I'm going to be asked about. This one's easy. Our Cottage Grove Public Safety Board is our nonprofit wing of that's connected to our public safety. They raise a lot of money related to our canines. They've done the purchasing for our canine officers so far, and have just been a great asset to our community. If anybody's interested in providing a team to golf with, they can certainly reach out to me directly. Otherwise, it is on the River Oaks City Golf Course page. That's where we host the tournament. Dennis and the crew down there do a fantastic job for us all. Everybody puts in a lot of work to make this go off as one of our largest fundraisers outside of just direct contributions. We certainly would love to have more people, and if any of the businesses are watching, I know that the group would still take donations of items for gift baskets, et cetera. And there might be a sponsorship or two. I know those are filling up, but we still have room for teams. Please sign up on the website. Otherwise, if you have questions and aren't sure, just contact me. My phone number at the office here is 651-458-6058, or dschoen@cottagegrovemn.gov. Or you call up to the office, ask for me, and they'll route you to the right place.
Thank you very much. I know it's a really fun tournament to be part of. A lot of great sponsorships. Our Cottage Grove Lions Club is sponsoring, a portion of the tournament fee. They'll have a team out there. I like to always sponsor a hole myself, and we'll have a team out there. And there's also a lot of great silent auction items and all kinds of different fun things to be part of. So I appreciate you taking a few minutes to tell us about that. Thank you.
Thank you, we're truly blessed.
And then, Mayor, I also just wanted to touch on another event that's coming up, and, you know, that is the 10-year anniversary, yes, it's been that long, of the Cottage Grove Bike Park. The bike park really started as an idea by a couple of residents in town, Chance Glassford and his wife Kelly, and a number of other friends of theirs said they wanted to put together a BMX track here in the city. And they came to Mayor Bailey with this idea. And I know, Mayor, you put them in touch with a number of different people, including our Parks and Recs department, so we could find some space for them. And lo and behold, here we are 10 years later. And the bike park gets better every year. They do all kinds of fun things to, you know, improve it year over year with bigger jumps and, you know, all those dangerous things that I don't take part in. But the event is going to be held August 19th. At the Cottage Grove Bike Park. It's the 10-year anniversary event. It starts at 11 o'clock. Our Lions Club will be there with hot dogs and hamburgers and pop and water and Gatorade and things. I know there's a number of different sponsors who are providing different things. If you go to the Cottage Grove Bike Park Facebook page, there's a lot more detail on there. But, you know, mark the date, August 19th on your calendar. Even if you don't come to actually bike, you can come out and enjoy a lot of other fun things that will be going on to celebrate the 10-year anniversary. And, you know, the thing I think I'm most proud of about that is our mission as a council and as a city for years has been to maintain and enhance our outdoor recreation opportunities and provide those opportunities to residents and visitors. And this bike park, the Wag Farms Dog Park, there are many examples of how we choose to do that. And our newest example is going to be the new park down on the river, the old Mississippi Dunes Golf Course. So if you had an opportunity over the weekend, you may have seen an article or two. There was one in the Star Tribune. There was also one in the Pioneer Press. I know our Park and Rec Director, Zach Doctor, was quoted several times. In fact, I think your picture was included too. Better him than me. And I know our City Administrator Jennifer Levitt was also quoted. This is such an exciting time for us. This is something that we have pushed for as a council for as long as I've been a council member, and I know that it's been pushed for since before I was a council member. And, you know, the articles were very clear about the scientific and natural area space that'll be there, and that's going to be enhanced with some additional property, 19.1 acres that we just closed on. There will be both passive and active park space. There will be trails for people to enjoy. This will truly be a gem of our community, and I think it's a game changer. I want to also mention Dave Gustafson, the owner. You know, he was spoken of very highly in both of those articles as well, and he and his wife Dawn have made it very clear that, you know, part of their mission in owning this property was to ensure that they gave back some of that land for these sorts of purposes. And, you know, they're environmentalists. They know about, you know, how special it is for the city of Cottage Grove to have access to the river. And Mayor, I'll turn it over to you because I know this is something you're very passionate about as well. But, you know, this has been a long time coming, probably since even before you started on the council.
Yeah, it was, it's been, as far back as I can remember, it's been in the comp plans as a desire for the council. And to be honest with you, I don't know that we ever really thought of this property as being that. It was always discussed to be out on Gray Cloud Island, which is still a plan, is to have a significant regional park on the island somewhere down in the future. But when this opportunity arose, you know, kudos to this council and the staff, the county, the DNR, everybody kind of came together so that we, in essence, are going to be protecting all of that shoreline, if you will, all the way down. And then working with the owner, Dave Gustafson, he's also working with the DNR to capture, if you will, for the DNR, the area above the railroad tracks for people that are down there or have been down there. That's where they used to have their golf range up there. So this is going to be an amazing thing. And I'll just say this personally too, is what's also really awesome about this park and the options that are going to happen down there is now there will be people that will be able to live down there too. So as part of the future developments that will happen on that, down in that particular area, but away from the main part of the river, all of us that maybe don't live down there near the river are going to have the opportunity to be exposed to the river and kayak and all those things that are already down there, but also those that maybe haven't had the opportunity to be by the river and want to are going to have a variety of housing types and options down there, should all of the rest of that development kind of make its way through, which they do have a developer that's in the process of working through that right now. But very excited. Kudos to staff. Pretty amazing to be on the front page of both newspapers on the same weekend, and I had numerous people asking me about it. I had numerous people call me, and as staff knows, I've shared some emails that came to me from people commenting about how neat it is that we're able to make this happen, so.
Yeah, easily 30, 40 comments last night at our Lions meeting, and then at Carboni's, the place was full because they do bingo on Tuesday nights, and it was the talk of the town, I'll tell you that.
Yep, it's pretty awesome. So, was that it for you then?
Yes.
The only other thing I wanted to just bring up, since you already brought up the Mississippi Dunes article, well, actually two things real quick. One is Friday is Movies in the Park for this week, for those that are watching, and there've been some great participation out there, and again, that's at Highlands Park. Mojo, I believe, is the name of the movie. I'm not familiar with it, but...
Brava here.
Are you looking at it? Is it on there? Mala? Okay, well, there's a movie, and it's a kid's movie, but they have popcorn, they have snacks, they have things for kids to do art for free. Some of that stuff's free, some of it's a purchase, but movies in the park with Mo is quite a deal. And then I want to give a special shout out to our Parks Department, which obviously includes Public Works. I had to, I shouldn't say I had to, I was down in Hamlet Park over the weekend for my grandson's baseball tournament, and I was sitting there watching the baseball games that were going on, and first of all, my mom was there, and she said to me, she says, how does the city get the grass down here to look so nice? And I had to remind my mother, who we lived over in that area growing up, that there used to be a time where it was just basically a field with, and that's actually how we played baseball back then. But the city and the crew do an amazing job with both the irrigation, fertilization, and so on. So I just wanted to give a special shout out, and I've heard that from multiple people. So when that conversation was going on with my mom, other people nearby was saying, yeah, our parks are like amazing with the grass and the turf and how well it's maintained. So Zach, please, and Ryan, please pass that along to the teams down there for the great job that they do in keeping our parks looking great, which is also going to be another neat thing about the Mississippi Dunes Park. So any other council comments or requests? All right, so just the next item on our agenda this evening is a workshop which is open to the public, which is number 13. We do have two items, and we'll be moving to the training room. The first item that we'll be discussing is franchise fee ordinance amendments. We won't be voting on that, but giving direction to council or to staff. And then B, which is our ongoing process, which is budget workshop. To go over some additional items for our budget. We do not have any closed meetings this evening, so we will not adjourn in here, but we will adjourn in the training room. So everybody have a great evening. We'll talk to you soon.